The ideas expressed in the following presentations are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of ACI or its committees. ACI web sessions are recorded at ACI conventions or other concrete industry events and will be made available for viewing free of charge for 1 week. Thereafter, they will be archived on the ACI website or added to ACI's online CEU program, depending on their content.
Good morning, everyone. But we're going to get our first speaker here with us, who is Jim Cornell. Jim is our former chair of the Concrete Specification Committee, ACI 301. He's also former chair of ACI 305, and he is our current chair of the Constructability Committee. And John is with JN Cornell Associates, LLC, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. His topic is going to be covering the introduction and overview of the ACI 134 Constructability Committee. Jim.
Okay, part of what I'd like to do is introduce the Concrete Constructability Committee. And the intent of the committee is that every convention we intend to have a session similar to this, change the subject matter, but this is one of our forms of communication and bringing the new technologies and new research to the users that are now attending our conventions. Committee 134, my goals here today is to talk through the recent history of the committee and our mission and our current activities and goals and some of our new business that we're taking up here in our committee. The mission statement for our committee is actually under development. We're discussing maybe modifying it, but as the mission statement was given to us by TAC, we're to develop a report on the best practices for the constructability of concrete. And part of that idea is there's a lot of new information out there that we are acquiring or learning, and how do we communicate this new information, this new technology, this new research to our industry. As we look at the committee, was formed by TAC in the spring of 17 last year. And then in the fall, we had our first meeting. It was part of the idea of having an older, gray-haired guy that doesn't have as much hair as he used to leading the committee, is I would feel a little bit more comfortable when we were out of the box and maybe going and taking rabbit trails different places. But that first meeting was really a skeet shoot. We were throwing out lots of ideas, capturing lots of ideas on what we were going to do with this committee and where we were going to go. We are going to be different from most committees. We're not going to develop a written guide or a written specification and spend hours and hours of committee time working on that. Instead, we're looking at other forms of communication to the industry. And then from that meeting, we started to leverage into membership. And at this point, in the spring, we had a start on membership, but right after the spring convention of this year, we zeroed in to where we've got about 17 voting members and 10 associate members. And the membership is open. If you're interested and you want to become involved, and please just turn in an application. It's really, we're looking for people that want to participate, people that are willing to be speakers or provide some of our other venues, our paper venues, to communicate. Some of our challenges in the industry is just the sheer growth. And we see that, for example, in this city. I have not visited Las Vegas for about 10 years, 12 years, and it was pretty phenomenal, the change that's occurred. And as we look at our own hometowns, the changes that are occurring there as well. And so we look at this convention and the technology that's coming online, it's really pretty phenomenal. And ACI's growth in the past 30 years that I've been a member, the number of people that come to the conventions and the number of committees and the volume of work we're doing is really astronomical. And how do we take all that knowledge and get it to the industry, pass it to the new people that are actually going to implement it? And we're all aware of the lessons we learned through the school of hard knocks, and how do we take that information and disseminate it throughout our industry. Some of the nice things, the leading edge thing is maybe our Revit modeling that we now do on our projects, and how do we apply that, laser scanning, quality control, and even now drone flights are commonplace. So a lot of things that 3-4 years ago were thinking about this, it's actually technology we're using today. So one of the formats we're going to use to communicate with is sessions like this. We're booking sessions long, a year and a half ahead, lining up speakers, kind of lining up speakers in such a way that we can incorporate new technology and make sure that there's not this lag. In order to set up a session for Cincinnati, we have to file it this week. In order to, the session we're doing today, we actually, last summer, Oscar volunteered to be the moderator, our first moderator, and it takes quite a bit of effort to get this pipeline full and set up the sessions. So this is one of our intents, is to use sessions. Lloyd is going to lead the session in Quebec City, and we're looking for a moderator for Cincinnati. At the moment, we've got 6 speakers for Cincinnati. We might have 8 speakers here in an hour or two, and we're going to have to cut it back down to 6. But you can see we can use this venue in the discussion that we all see at sessions can come and specifically address constructability and how to implement and execute the work. Another tool that we're having to use for technology is Rex Donnelly, the editor of Concrete International, has volunteered rather nicely that in each of the CIs that we can put in an article of about 300 words with a picture. And it's kind of peculiar that it's taken us quite a while to get this running. And in October, the October issue of CI is our first article on defining constructability. And we've got that pipeline filling up. We had a goal of trying to have an article about every 3 or 4 months, and we're kicking off in October. We've got this article, and in December we've got an article on tolerances and ADA compliance, and how to design for ADA compliance and not exceed tolerances. And so we've already got 2 articles, and the 3rd article is already in the pipeline. And so I feel fairly confident that as the future progresses, that we're going to be able to maintain an article every month. So here we've got another mechanism to communicate and to share our knowledge to the industry. We're in pursuit of some other methods. Some of those are tech notes. A lot of our committees are trying to utilize tech notes now to write white paper. And some of the limitations there are that we can only address one subject. One of the committees had their paper rejected because they were trying to talk about 2 things at the same time. And so they're going to do a rewrite. The other is we got to be less than 3,500 words. So it's really a white paper that talks very focused, very, very quick. And then it gets posted so that all of us have access to those tech notes. And I think this is going to be a great resource in the future as we build our library of tech notes and get that up and running within ACI. Concrete International, we had one individual submit an article, and he had so much information that his article was really a full-fledged Concrete International article. So that's now going through that revision process. acceptance, peer review, and we should see that later in Concrete International in 19. We've been approached, ACI does webinars for training purposes and education purposes, and we've been approached, they got 3 slots open yet for 19. And so we're going to try to pursue and see if we can find a way to disseminate some of our new information using the webinar sessions that ACI has developed. But the whole idea is to try to communicate the new technology, the new information, our school of hard knocks, and share that so that everybody else doesn't necessarily have to go through the same painful exercise that we might have had. But if you find that you have something that you're passionate about, an individual today is really passionate about the ADA compliance issues. He's constantly fighting that. Contractors will wrestle with that issue where the design professional is just beside himself because of the elevations he's got to deal with, where the building is, where the parking lot is, or the structure he's dealing with. And he'll go at the maximum that he can on sidewalks and ramps for the handicap and not really think about the tolerance. And when the tolerance gets put in there, all of a sudden you're designing at the maximum extreme. We've got a tolerance that's allowed, and now we're no longer in compliance with ADA. So that's rather, Peter's rather passionate about that, and it's going to be great that in Cincinnati will present a paper on that. But if you know somebody that's doing some leading edge research, earlier this year, there's in the hearing committee, an individual had some research in Tyler Levy, and Tyler is now going to present a paper here in Cincinnati. So as you see individuals that might have some passion about a subject and some new research that relates directly to construction, then let's bring it to the attention of the 134 committee. Get them to contact us. We're really looking for them to join us in all these multiple venues so that we can put together some really good education materials. And we're really looking for a bunch of really sharp folks, people that are knowledgeable, they're the subject matter experts in their subject. A group like these characters right now, there's a couple ladies in here. But though I'm going to confess, I can't even shake hands with that group. But that's what we're looking for, the people in our industry that are recognized that and as they do this research and as we go through learning about tolerances, for example, how can we bring this out, disseminate and educate our industry? So that's the intent of Concrete Constructability, is that we try to educate. We try to get all the venues, and we're exploring new venues on how can we communicate and educate in our industry. So with that great monologue and no breaks, do we have any questions?
Thank you very much, Jim.